just see what we think we just saw?
If that doesn't give you chills, you're never going to get them.
As good as it gets.
You're watching the USL on CBS Sports, presented by Best Western. And while the eyes of the world just a few hours ago were on Atlanta, we invite you to come on down about 5 hours south to northern Florida, where Sporting JAX are playing host to Pittsburgh Riverhounds. And Jacksonville, of course, still looking for their first win in USL Championship history amidst their inaugural season. Meanwhile, for the defending champion Pittsburgh Riverhounds, mid-table, 6th place as it stands, but they do have a couple of games in hand to make up some ground on those teams ahead of them in the Eastern Conference table. And we welcome you into the broadcast booth. Tyler Terrence along with the incomparable Devin Kerr. And like Argentina, you're not going to get rid of us. You might never be able to do it. But Devin, we're about halfway through the season. Both of these teams have developed identities. Your argument is that they should probably start to steer away from that.
If you're the manager, the good news is you can do one thing well, but at least as it pertains to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, one thing does not make for a title run. But let's start with Sporting Jacksonville, how things have gotten better recently, and I want to start on the attacking side of the ball. What Liam Fox has done is given them more control, specifically working off the back line. They've been able to maneuver around and through their opponents more efficiently. They've dominated through the midfield, and within that, they've created more chances up high. The good news is goals have followed. The bad news is they've also started to open themselves up even more on the defensive front. So there's pockets all over the field. The units aren't moving as well together. In order to close those gaps, that's about better communication, better leadership. That comes with experience, and certainly something this roster is lacking.
And for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Devin, this is a group that obviously everybody knows what their forte is. They are an elite defensive side, but similar to years prior, they're anemic in the attack. But with that, they've been excellent against the better teams in the league, the playoff teams. And for some odd reason, they've been really struggling against the non-playoff teams, most recently a 2-0 loss at home against Brooklyn, who has struggled mightily. So let's head over to ahead of the curve with this guy, Devin Kerr. And Dev, you've got a few thoughts on the decision-making for Pittsburgh.
Head coach Rob Vincent said his #1 factor going into the offseason he wanted to address was getting better in the attacking third. The good news is they're getting to the advanced positions. The bad news is they're struggling with timing on their runs and execution and decision making. They need better movement from their pieces up high. When you don't make a clear decision when it's available to you, you allow the defensive unit behind to restructure itself, organization follows, and then you end up with low chance opportunities. They hit the target. The problem is they're just not effective because they're moving from so far away. Very similar situation this time. Better movement down into the channel. Watch the 9 on the right side of your screen. Albert Dequa, incredible timing to work the back line, allowing the midfield to break through. Simple decision, 5-yard ball. You make this game really difficult on yourself, Pep Guardiola says. Just take the clean route. It simplifies the game, and results follow.
Well, what's following is kickoff from Hodges Stadium in northern Florida. Sporting JAX and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds for the second all-time meeting coming up next. Getting set for what should be a fascinating fixture in the Eastern Conference. Sporting Jacksonville about halfway through their inaugural season in the USL Championship, going up against the second oldest club that this side of the American soccer pyramid has to offer. And we'll start with the Sporting Jacksonville starting 11, Devin, and a new acquisition in Danny Wilson, who's got plenty of experience, including at the MLS level, slides in to make his debut today.
Head coach Liam Fox has established control in the back of the line. Now with the addition of Danny Wilson, paired next to the captaincy of Ryan Edwards, he's got leadership and he's got experience within those two. That veteran presence you have there will help create even more control moving further up the field. They haven't struggled on the attacking front. I'd like to see more out of the movement underneath Emil Jääskeläinen, but this is going to be about the midfield rotation, their ability to lock down the space in different levels, because Rob Vincent in his 4-2-3-1, there's a lot of movement, especially on this right-hand side. Souza will flatten himself out. McCoy creates a back three next to Lassett Cope. When Perrin Barnes releases, Max Vieira has to be aggressive next to Charles All. It'll take pressure off of Danny Griffin and Robbie Mertz. They can be more free, and most importantly, they can create better, more effective chances for their strikers inside the 18.
And Robbie Mertz continues to be a huge part of this Pittsburgh Riverhounds side. The 29-year-old originally from Pittsburgh, now in his 7th season with the club. And of course is coming off of their first championship in club history. Emil Jääskeläinen leads the line for this Sporting JAX. As we invite you to turn off the world and turn on the game. We are live from Hodges Stadium at the University of North Florida. It is Sporting JAX and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds for their second ever all-time meeting under the lights here in what should be a fantastic contest. And the last time these two sides met, it was a 5-goal thriller. Pittsburgh coming off of a win in the USL Cup. Meanwhile, for Sporting JAX, they've had about 11 days off now, coming off of another wild result, as they just seem to attract all sorts of chaos. They have been engaged in some of the crazier games that the league has seen so far this season. With all that in mind, Devin, and of course Pittsburgh having to do things without their leading goal scorer, Albert Dikwa, how do you see this one shaking out here tonight?
Well, the chaos that Jacksonville have been able to create within their games has been super entertaining. Let's start there. So there's definitely going to be electricity within the group. I would just like to see a full performance from them, because it's become so intermittent. And out of that, it's created inconsistency. So to maintain an established belief throughout the 90 of a game is very important for Liam Fox's squad. If you're Rob Vincent, he's good 90% of the way up the field. The 90-minute performance may not be there on all levels, but they've gotten pretty darn close, and it's about reestablishing that dominance up high. That's got to come from the midfield. Danny Griffin, Robbie Mertz, and Charles All. We talked about it in the open. They're getting to the right spots. Maybe not a plenty, but they need to be more effective with their decision-making.
Danny Wilson starting to build up for Sporting JAX. We mentioned before, he's got tons of experience at the top division of a number of different countries around the world. He had a stint with QPR, including Livingston over in Scotland in the Scottish Premiership, where he came over from. Of course, has that Scottish connection with his head coach, Liam Fox, who's getting his first taste of USL Championship football. And obviously, has not been the start that they were hoping for here in Jacksonville. Just 4 points. They have not won a game yet in league play. Their first win in their club's history, coming against a lower division side in Sarasota Paradise in the USL Cup. But statistically, they are the worst team defensively in the league, East or West. Hard stop. Meanwhile, their counterparts, Pittsburgh, one of the best teams historically defensively, including this year once again, as they'll go quick from the throw-in. Trevor Hammond lays it off. Max Vieira now with Robbie Mertz, and he'll cycle it back for Perrin Barnes. Pittsburgh with a quick turnaround from their win against Loudoun United in their final game of the USL Cup. They were not able to advance out of their group, so their 2026 campaign comes to a close in that particular competition. But it was good, Rob Vincent said, for his group to rotate some players. They went out and did a professional job and were able to get them some minutes. And then obviously a big one coming up against Louisville on CBS this weekend.
As many a team are dealing with so many injuries this time of the year, I actually didn't mind the fact that it didn't go their way within Prinks Tire's USL Cup. A good chat with Rob Vincent earlier today, said that look, we got what we wanted out of the game. Reintegrating players that are working their way back from injury, load management to set ourselves up for success. Midweek game, a little bit of a trap game, to be fair, against a very talented Jacksonville team, and then certainly Louisville City, who are now 6 games unbeaten in all competitions that they'll host on the weekend.
And not only a trap game, but having to do it without Albert Dikwa, who's responsible for 8 goals in terms of contributions. He scored 6 and assisted on 2. Pittsburgh have only scored 15 goals all season, so it's going to be interesting to see the juxtaposition between Pittsburgh, who doesn't really score all that many goals, and Jacksonville, who's been leaking them over the past couple of months.
Yeah, the counter argument I would have is, out of the 6 goals that Albert Dikwa has stuck in the back of the net, there's no consistency of nature to it. You know, it's from the penalty spot, off a corner, a recycled set piece, a haphazard ball that falls his way. It's not like it's a run and gun, find him in the box, and, you know, they're all smiles and giggles. Instead, they've had to piece work this attack together. I like the idea of his absence. Gives them a fresh look. It forces Trevor Ammon to continue the form coming off the Loudon match, and, you know, give him more of an opportunity to provide some better glimpses as this team works up high.
It's Charles All who went down and able to draw the free kick. Jordan Rossiter, Liverpudlian, 29 years of age, getting his first taste of USL Championship play with the Sporting JAX side that continues to look for their first ever win, and a team that obviously was put together just this past offseason. Liam Fox coming into the scene a little bit late. He did talk to us about how that might have affected some of the recruiting process and the player acquisitions. But here they are, threatening for about the 2nd time this evening in the opening 5.5 minutes or so. Rito. And Rossiter will recycle through Ryan Edwards, and now Danny Wilson. He and Aventura Alvarado announced as the 2 newest additions for Sporting JAX to try to solidify this back line that's been operating more as Swiss cheese than anything recently. Out of the reach of Kelp. Long-range effort over everyone and everything, and out of play for a goal kick. And Liam Fox, the 42-year-old from Edinburgh. He was twice the interim head coach of Heart of Midlothian, aka Hearts, in the Scottish Premiership before making his way over to the States. And Devin, you can understand his struggles, but he's pretty honest when we spoke with him, and he knows that there's a long way to go for this group, but at the same time, there's been some really good spells throughout the past couple of months within games, and it's almost a similar problem that Pittsburgh are dealing with in terms of not complete 90-minute performances. The only problem is that one of them is 6th in the table and the other one's dead last.
I admired Liam Fox's forthright nature, right? He's, wouldn't call him blunt, but direct, and has no problem saying, yeah, we got some things wrong. I had the first conversation with him a couple of weeks into the year. The follow-up is where things really started to open up leading into that San Antonio match, and then a very similar message being given to us heading into this game, where we understand we need more experience within the group. They're starting to add that. An understanding of the league is starting to follow.
Jake McGuire having to come all the way off of his line, getting the start tonight over Christian Oliveras, and now Pittsburgh with a chance after the turnover from Sporting JAX. And this is a shot from distance that's always going wide, and Sporting JAX for a moment in disarray. And that's Danny Griffin, Mr. Everything for Pittsburgh, 27-year-old originally from Springfield, Massachusetts. Now more than 200 appearances with the Hounds.
A stark difference than what you're getting out of the inaugural season for Sporting JAX. Guys like Robbie Mertz, Danny Griffin, players that have been here for what seems like eons under Rob Vincent, first as a player, then an assistant, and now his first season as the Riverhounds head coach. Officially named the interim last fall. Took them all the way to the USL Championship title. But to my point about trying to add layers to this attack, they only had 1 goal for in their final 5 games of the year. That included 4 playoff games, 3 of which went to penalties. So they always say better lucky than good, but the law of averages will end up playing themselves out. And that's sort of the way that this season started for them. The good news is they've started to adjust appropriately. They've started to get players healthy, and the ideas have come. The bad news is it didn't really come right out of the gate. It's not the end of the world, though. It's nice to have a problem if you're Rob Vincent, if things aren't going your way, and virtually you're sitting 6th in the Eastern Conference.
And again, sitting in 6th, but with a couple of games in hand, particularly on the teams that are sitting in first and third respectively in the Eastern Conference, the likes of the Tampa Bay Rowdies as well as Louisville City. But sitting just above them, Indy 11 have 3 games in hand. So a lot of ground to make up for both this Pittsburgh side and Indy 11, who are going to be jockeying with the best of these to try to get in a spot to potentially host a playoff game in the first round. But a long way to go until that. However, we are in the part of the season where the games start to blur together and the weeks are long, but the months are short. And before we know it, leaves will be falling and we'll find ourselves in playoff soccer in the USL Championship.
Speak for yourself. Yeah, moments like this, though, you know, the flexibility that you get for Rob Vincent's midfield comes because of freedom. Guys like Elliot Goldthorpe, who can play up high, he's comfortable working outside in from a wingback style role. He can play in that 10-type position, tightened in. I love the relationships they're starting to develop. Charles Hall, Robbie Mertz, Sam Bassett, who's just come back from injury. Getting him healthy, very important, as his level of comfort had really started to hit a high level prior to his departure. Again, the effectivity of what you can provide when you move into the final third has certainly come with its bumps. But it felt like before Sam Bassett's injury, they were headed in the right direction. He'll definitely be the catalyst for turning that around.
A guy who wanted to play number 6 under Rob Vincent, but they basically said to him,
by the way,
that we're going to waste you if you're playing in the number 6. We need you closer to goal because of your range of passing.
It was astonishing to hear that Sam Bassett actually said that to his manager. You know, a guy who finished with 74 points. That was second in Denver history, trailing only Andres Shinyashiki. He was all about forward-facing, running 100 miles an hour, taking players on, and, you know, to say I want to work a little bit more on the exterior point of view, I was like, yeah, I'm not interested in that. You want me to go stand back there? No, thanks. I've already experienced that once in my life. Mac Herman finalist in 2024. That's college soccer's version of the Heisman. An All-American en route to a College Cup appearance. And it's just the philosophy for Sam Bassett that became contagious, to be fair, for a lot of these players of anywhere, anytime. You know, defensively, that's always been the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, but all of a sudden, real idealistic group moving forward.
Here's Goldthorpe moving forward, and he'll poke it out wide. Now Charles Hall, early delivery, good-looking ball for Ammon, and that's a tremendous goal from the Hounds. But the offside flag is going to come up. That was really well worked, but Ammon apparently went a bit too early.
That's certainly the timing a bit off, but I love this first ball working off the back line. This is what I talk about. They flatten themselves out. Beautiful dissecting pass from Victor Souza. And now the manipulation factor from Elliot Goldthorpe. Notice how he drags the line with him. Now the back line is pinned through. That slight hesitation causes a flat-footed nature for the center backs. The good news is they've overstepped up high, the Hounds have. But you have to be very wary now if you're Sporting Jacksonville. Careful with your pressure. If you're going to step up high and you're Emil Jääskeläinen, you got to get tight in. And if not, keep those screws closer together. That's where JAX have gotten themselves in trouble.
Heavy touch from Tyshawn Rose. Settled down by Robbie Mertz and company in the middle of the park. Barnes. Not exactly his brightest moment.
Given how tight-knit Pittsburgh have squeezed this field, I wouldn't mind Sporting JAX using the width a little bit more effectively. Commentator's curse. But because they've conceded so much space on the outside, play a little bit faster, release that young man, Tyshawn Rose higher. It's going to take pressure off Kieran Sadlier. All of a sudden, you have a running mate for Jääskeläinen. Instead, they're trying to play centrally and just losing the numbers battle.
This is more like it from Sporting JAX. Rossiter. Somersault along for Rose. Heavy challenge from Gorthorpe, and the referee not interested, says it was clean. And that Rose went over just a little bit too easy. Pittsburgh deciding to go direct, and Trevor Ammon never going to be able to get there. And all the way back for Jake McGuire, the 31-year-old from Pomona, California. Most recently seen with North Carolina FC. Actually made his debut in the USL Championship when he was playing for Brendan Burke and the Bethlehem Steel in the good old days at Goodman Stadium on Sunday afternoons.
I can just see the pop-up tent behind the bleachers during halftime. Who brought the oranges?
James Chambers pulling the strings in the middle of the park.
Oh, what a world.
Same field that Brendan Aronson made his professional debut.
I mean, that entire organization was just littered with talent.
And at the time, it was exciting, and there was all this hype around them, but to see them performing at the level in which they're doing now, and the Mark McKenzies of the world, Austin Trusty, Brendan Aronson, Paxton Aronson, really is amazing to see what that club has been able to do from top to bottom, and really one of the shining lights of pathway to pro in the United States, along with the likes of FC Dallas and Real Salt Lake.
Friendly reminder, that's also the team that upset the Pittsburgh Riverhounds in the first round of playoffs.
Absolutely it is. It all comes back.
Steel Army at home is going, thanks for the reminder. I'm sure it'll be a welcomed red carpet on Saturday.
You're not gonna
crew,
exactly
apologies.
Be a fan favorite on the South Shore. Rito wanted to go quickly, and the referee having to get involved with some of the off-the-ball shenanigans. His 30-year-old from Venezuela, coming over from Phoenix Rising, had a couple of goals and 4 assists. That was intended for Somersault, but it was just out of his reach. Had he been able to get there, Sporting JAX would have been in business. But it's moments like that that can come back to bite you, particularly against a group like Pittsburgh, who don't need any invitation to go forward. And that cross gets all the way through. Charles All once again being the preferred option over on the left wing. Now Robbie Mertz will provide the pressure for Pittsburgh. Akwe was falling down, was able to get it away.
That's really clean,
Good
working off the back line.
JAX.
Yeah, very smart. Bypass the first line of pressure, maintain composure within the midfield, and this is the control that we have seen established over this 9-game run. Well, certainly as they move up high, they become more dominant. Can also slow the game down, bring the tempo to your liking. I'd also see them, or like to see them, just open the game up a little bit too. Now that they've done it, you're moving. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds, don't be afraid to hit that 20, 30-yard ball to break lines.
Somersault once again has been just a little bit slow to react in the middle of the park. He's received the ball in some really good spaces, but seems like he's a step behind the play for the moment. But a lot of the credit due to Pittsburgh and their midfield and how quickly they can close space.
Well, they're also playing a bit of cat and mouse right now as we approach the 20th minute. Notice the positioning, right center side of your screen. Danny Griffin, Robbie Mertz dropping a little bit deeper, trying to pull Rossiter and Somersault with them. And within that, the back line moves higher. Now you're trying to play a little bit more direct, which Rob Vincent said we need to be able to establish that dominance of a profile of player, just playing that single entity through, stretching the back line. Haven't done it frequent enough.
And Somersault, the St. Kitts and Nevis native, commits the foul. He was part of that FC Tulsa side that Pittsburgh were able to beat on the road in the USL Championship final. And it'll be a Sporting JAX free kick, and then a little bit of afters.
Nobody's ever upset about any extracurriculars after the whistle. Certainly saw a few of those today in the semifinal between England and Argentina. And hello, Eduardo Rito, little how do you do? Call me crazy, I am loving the unique opportunity on the far side of the field for Sporting JAX fans to make camp on one of these terraces.
Any particular reason why you're a fan of those terraces?
Probably just viewing pleasure, the angle.
Viewing pleasure, not because you
Enjoying
can
the
stay well
elements.
hydrated.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Couldn't be you. First Coast Ultra is trying to make their presence felt. Jordan Rossiter operating as that lone midfielder, helping with the build out. Summersall able to avoid the initial challenge from Goldthorpe. Now Rose. On Kuzain. Sadlier. 7 goals and an assist already this year for the Englishman, who comes from Haywards Heath and was last seen with the Wickham Wanderers before wandering over to Northern Florida. As Rose trying to turn his way out of trouble, he's drawing a lot of attention, and now Sadlier. And it's going to end up being a handball against Sporting JAX, and Juan Kuzain felt like that should have been a foul against the big center back Owen McCoy from Atlanta. And Juan Kuzain not exactly thrilled with the assistant referee over on the far side of Hodges Stadium. Goldthorpe just hung up the switch a bit too much.
It's also just because you can play it doesn't mean you should. You play it out there, you're isolated 2v1, you have no support down in the channel, and your running partner in Trevor Ammon is also on the negative side of the numerical battle. Hold possession, rotate it back through the midfield, reestablish it on the far side of the field with Lasse Kelp. Simple little decisions like that, though, are where Pittsburgh get themselves into trouble. You know, you're 40 yards from goal. You don't have to hit that ball. And Rob Vincent on the sideline is going to be saying the same thing. Hold it here, work the opponent, and find another avenue.
You know, I don't pay attention all that much in class, but it feels like, Professor Kerr, that was the main topic of ahead of the curve. Good step forward from Akwe. Out of the reach of Summersall, able to atone for his sins momentarily. One of the biggest things that stands out about this Sporting JAX club is that their roster is not exactly littered with players who have a lot of USL Championship experience. And speaking with Liam Fox, their head coach, he said that was also something that he didn't necessarily account for when they were stepping into this inaugural campaign in 2026. And even when you have the likes of a Kieran Sadler, who's got experience in the lower tiers of English football, as well as Jaskalainen, who's performed well with MLS Next Pro. Devin, you and I have been covering this league long enough to know that this is a really, really unique league that offers a lot of different challenges, and having players who know how to operate within the league, usually proves to be beneficial.
Start with guys that are veterans and have experience that don't understand the sheer gravity of size of the United States. Danny Wilson, Ryan Edwards. Now, Danny Wilson with previous experience in the Rapids, and I understand that, but the European contingent is far further in stretch than just one center back, right? So it's up into the midfield, it's the front line. Players getting used to the travel, the time zones, the temperatures, and the different climates they play in. Uh-oh.
And Campuzano doing just enough in the end. He wasn't exactly done any favors by his comrades, and now Pittsburgh trying to go on the other end and create a chance of their own. Wasn't a bad idea for Goldthorpe as Charles Hall was trying to thread the needle.
It's also a very athletic league that can see you slow things down, create control, which we've seen in this match, and then hit the reset button. All of a sudden, it's hurricane end to end. It's the story of Sporting JAX's season, really over the last 5-game stretch. 3 4-goal affairs on both sides of the ball.
You were on the call for one of those.
I was on the San Antonio game, and again, we talk about accountability and just being honest with yourself. Head coach Liam Fox said, you know, we need to be better in our own decisions. And they have, in a lot of their games, just gotten themselves in trouble. I'm not taking anything away from their opponent because their opponents have deserved the wins, but in that San Antonio game, open 45 minutes, San Antonio couldn't touch the ball. And that's one of the best teams, I'll say, not even defensive teams, in the Western Conference. And then you turn the page. You give up 3 goals in 9 minutes to start the second half. You're wearing a Sporting JAX jersey. Everybody's looking around going, oh, it's Groundhog Day. The fear of doubt creeps in, and then every game just starts to create this waterfall effect.
Not for nothing, though. It really is amazing how they switch off for a 10, 15, 20-minute spell.
And it buries them.
They can see 2 or 3 goals in that stretch. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that in this league, because sure, there are teams that struggled at the beginning of a season, and they're starting to unfortunately get up there with some of the worst starts in USL Championship history, but the way in which they go about their business, having conceded as many goals as they have, particularly over the last 9 games, in the fashion in which they do so, you just sort of scratch your head and you're like, how do you fall apart that much in such a short amount of time?
To your point, we've sat chairs side by side and seen teams get run off the field. The majority of the time, that's not what's happening here across the board in a match. It's 5, 10, 15-minute windows. Doesn't really matter what happens. I think the biggest one for me is creating mental clarity after dominance has been established within games where they go up 1-0, they go up 2-1. They've conceded the most goals in a 10-minute window after them hitting the back of the net.
Yeah.
So the sheer joy and excitement of we've broken our opponent down, you got to stay organized, stay locked in, because those are the moments that are getting themselves in trouble.
Goldthorpe picks it up. Hammond was offside. That doesn't mean that Perrin Barnes was, but skips away from him. And Pittsburgh struggling to get their bearings here in Northern Florida. And Liam Fox and the Sporting JAX side, 41 goals conceded through 15 matches played. And if they do concede here tonight, then they would jump up in the most goals conceded in the first 16 games in USL Championship history.
I'm going to tell you the craziest stat to follow that up. None of them made the postseason. Listen, you got to have a little fun where it matters. And your willingness, if you're head coach Liam Fox, to acknowledge what your sins have been and to atone for them is
Are you
why
sure
are they headed
that
in the right
Tacoma
direction?
Defiance team didn't make the postseason in 2019?
I'm 99.9% positive.
And tonight at 10 Eastern, CBS Sports Network brings you more diamond action with Athletes Unlimited Softball. It's the Utah Talons facing the Portland Cascade. That's tonight at 10 Eastern. Mentioned Jake McGuire getting the start in between the sticks tonight. First start of the season for McGuire as Christian Olivares, who actually leads the league in saves. Obviously, that has mostly to do with the fact that Sporting JAX are constantly putting themselves in a spot where they need their goalkeeper to make a save. But McGuire getting the nod. Plenty of experience at this level. All up for the header. Ammon won't be able to get there. And Edwards will go all the way back for McGuire. Poor ball in the middle of the park from another Liverpudlian and Jordan Rossiter. Nice ball. Ammon over the top. It looked like he might have been onside. Cushion down. Goldthorpe back for Ammon. It's Trevor Ammon on the first time. And there's the opening goal for the Hounds. Clean and crisp football from the visitors. And Trevor Ammon with his second goal of the season. And the Hounds take the lead on the road.
The clean decision making from Lassekelp right into Robbie Mertz, and I love the quick turn. Notice his head, scans up over the shoulder, recognizes the space, and now all of a sudden, you're looking for that directivity of play. Finding that striker that's willing to push the tempo, open up space, if not for the opportunity to go it alone, to at least find the supporting personnel down underneath. You get both. Great, unselfish look from Trevor Ammon, who's repaid the favor by Elliot Goldthorpe. Square ball back across, and I love the way that he attacks right through it. Pushes his hips through, holds the goalkeeper. Dormant for the first half hour, but electrifying by the Hounds.
Trevor Ammon getting his second of the year, of course, who was the Golden Boot winner and Player of the Year in League One for Northern Colorado Hailstorm back in 2023. Eventually made the jump to USL Championship with Sacramento. Moved over to Tulsa last summer. And obviously, playing in behind Albert Dequa, you're not going to get a ton of opportunities. And with the congested schedule, particularly during the summer, and Dequa serving his suspension, what a great opportunity for Ammon to get the start and seizing that opportunity here in Jacksonville. But the look from Elliot Goldthorpe, I mean, you can't say enough about the unselfishness. Most players won't have the composure. They'll lash at that opportunity, Devin, but he knew that going back against the grain and knowing that Ammon had just laid the ball off, he was going to be open.
Ammon could have gone it alone. Elliot Goldthorpe could have tried to get fancy, and instead, you don't reinvent the wheel, right? Just play simple, ticky-tack type football with a lot of pressure around him, to be fair. And one of the biggest takeaways that I had in our conversation today with head coach Rob Vincent was about opportunity, right? The coming to moment about their identity. Who do we want to be? Right? We know that we're good defensively, but if you guys want to add another star above that crest, if you want to replicate the title, you've got to be better up high. And whether it's the absence of Albert Dequa, the evolution of the attack going forward, you have to take responsibility with the opportunities that are being put in front of you. And yet through the play, you get Robbie Mertz, Trevor Ammon, and Elliot Goldthorpe all combining. Those are the moments that he's walking into the dressing room going, well done, boys. That 10 times over, and we're on our way.
Elliot Goldthorpe starting to feel himself a little bit. Now Robbie Mertz. Aaron Barnes, 3 assists on the year already from the right back position for the Hounds. It's just the 16th goal of the year for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds in their 14th game played. Goldthorpe touches it along, and that return from Ammon was intended for Max Vieira. That's Rob Vincent, the head coach for Pittsburgh, barking at Max Vieira to play inside of the pockets. Sitting right in front of that Jacksonville back three. Good awareness from Robbie Mertz. Barnes got the pass away and gets the return. Numbers arriving for Pittsburgh. Barnes looking for the delivery, and had he gotten that into the penalty area, Pittsburgh certainly had the numbers to be able to conjure up a second, and these are the moments where the game can get away from Sporting JAX in sort of a 5 to 10 minute pocket. And they look like they might concede a second right now. But the one thing that has been evident about Liam Fox's group over the past couple of months is that they are fighters and they do not go down without a whimper, particularly in games like San Antonio and most recently Loudoun. They'll find themselves down late on in the game, particularly in stoppage time or in the last 10 or 15 minutes, and they'll dig out a result even if they were supposed to win the game in the first place.
Well, you could throw the Brooklyn game into the mix as well, and certainly what was a torrid affair here against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, or at least against the Riverhounds back in March. A lot of their games tight-knit early on, and funny how they had these close affairs where you start to build character. There's belief that you can be in any game, but also understand that from a tactical standpoint, you weren't challenging your opponent enough to create more up high, so you open the game up. Goals start to come aplenty, but then on both ends. It's, you know, defensively they've, you know, cutting off your nose to spite your face, so to say. I do see the idea of the addition of Danny Wilson being a massive pickup. The health of Ryan Edwards coming back in, another one. There's also a lot of tactical flexibility within this group where, depending on the opponent, the game plan, your ability to adjust and test the depth of the newly acquired personnel in your favor.
Yeah, he's standing right behind him.
Should go check out that pickup game at halftime.
He does not have a head.
You don't want that smoke.
That's Corey Herzog leaning the line over there. Kevin Kerr, he's got the night off. He's showing him how it's done, man. Jose Angulo.
Yes, stay back, stay!
Sounds really low.
I don't know if they have anything in yet, or they might be pushing it.
Jääskeläinen has been virtually non-existent for Sporting JAX thus far, and Rob Vincent actually told us that he was really concerned about him coming into this game, especially considering how active he was in the March fixture, in which he was winning every single aerial duel and was involved in their 2 goals.
He's a dominant physical striker, Emil Jääskeläinen, who in that 2024 season where Sam Bassett was a Mac Herman finalist, so too was he. Thought he was actually the best player in the country that year, to be fair. But it's
your vote?
Yeah. Still in the mail. The spacing within what you can call sort of this makeshift front 3 is what concerns me. Juan Kuzain trying to keep a touching distance from Rossiter and Somersault, but he's chasing so much defensively. He doesn't have the ability to get free in the build. Rito and Kuzain can't find any collaborative effort, and then Sadlier starts to try and chase the game as well. I just think it's simple enough as you squeeze Sadlier and Kuzain on the inside. Drop them down underneath. That'll free up Jääskeläinen to play a little bit more in one-on-one situations and also force the outside backs deeper for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Now all of a sudden, not only have you given them a different look, you've changed the field position game.
Danny Griffin asking for his boys to break the line, and break the line they do. Ammon already on a goal. Trevor Ammon trying to find the back stick and always pulling it wide.
I like the idea here from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. This is an angles game, though. That's got to be slipped through the back shoulder. You play it in front of the center back. He's now got to turn and pivot, and you're allowing your attacker to get it head on instead. Ball goes behind Trevor Ammon. He's got to slow down his speed. The defender regains his overall structure. And again, we keep talking about these little moments for Pittsburgh when they get into these advanced positions and how ineffective they've been. That's a good look at it. Might argue a half chance, but still one that got away from him. Good repress there.
This might be a full chance from Pittsburgh. Goldthorpe. Hammond just lost it right as the moment was asking the most of him. Danny Griffin. Souza. It's really compact right now, and if Pittsburgh can find a little bit of width, they might be able to have some joy on either the left or right wing. And now Barnes and company starting to fan out, and it goes over the top, intended for Barnes. Needed to be kept in play. Sharp defending from Tyshawn Rose.
There's no chance you're going to win a foot race against him. Lightning quick. Anita's like, you need a better understanding though that, look, it's great individual defending by Tyshawn Rose as he moves down into the corner, but as he picks his head up and starts to pivot, there's no support. He's got no one to work through. Sadly, or doesn't drop back. The midfield doesn't create any connection points, and he's stuck to basically just hit release and hope. There's too much good work being done off the ball that when you win it back, you don't have an option to play through. One lucky fan playing hide and seek in the upper deck.
Something like that.
Nice ball.
Goldthorpe, he's really grown into this game. Now all Ammon. Heavy first touch and eventually thumped away by Edwards. And Souza with an outstretched chicken wing might have just caught Jaskalainen across the face as he was trying to fend him off, and it's a free kick for Sporting JAX.
That's a tricky one as well for Victor Souza. Well done by the defender. The way he steps in front, creates that negative touch where it prohibits the attacker from really creating any sort of conflict. The problem is on the back end of it, his body starts to shift and loses balance. Arm gets away from him. It's basically you every Sunday league.
Excuse me.
No one's faulting you for it.
Reigning champions, Old Man United. Thank you very much.
Just got promoted.
From what? Goldthorpe wasn't totally aware of his surroundings. Danny Wilson takes over, and here comes Sporting JAX on the move, but being bottled up is Eduardo Rito, and twisting and turning. Got the cutback away. Somersault on the first time, and testing the hands of Nico Campuzano for the first time tonight.
And Rito drawing three separate players down into the right flank, and well done on the cutback here. Bit fortuitous on the touch. Came via the bounce. I don't mind control there from Somersault instead of trying to create the spectacular take a touch. Back line will move with you. He had support over the left shoulder if he wanted to.
Knocking on the door of halftime, and right now Trevor Ammon's goal in the 29th minute is the difference between these two sides, as Pittsburgh came into the night in 6th place in the Eastern Conference table. Sporting JAX, as everyone knows at this point in time, still looking for their first league win in club history. But they've got some work to do at home yet again. This from about 45 yards out, and Campuzano, maybe for the cameras, sprawling to just make sure that it's going wide.
Trying to recreate the crack that Valentin Noel put up against Lexington SC tonight. I have the internet.
Didn't know you knew how to use it.
That man does. Certainly the notes that'll be passed across in halftime for Liam Fox will be based on their shape within the midfield. And defensively, it's been better over the last couple of minutes, but still one-dimensional coming forward, lacking support really at every single level when they have worked so hard defensively. And if you're Rob Vincent, you've grown into the game, especially Elliot Goldthorpe. Like to see more out of Max Vieira and Trevor Ammon. That is going to be about the willingness to push the tempo underneath by Danny Griffin and Robbie Mertz. We'll also see them start to play this game a little bit higher up in the field, more confidence.
Well, Barnes is going to be on side here. Ammon had to wave it off. Barnes into the penalty area. Referee was right there. Barnes stays with it. McGuire off of his line. A couple of those long balls have completely caught Sporting JAX off guard. Aquet. And we're hearing right now, unconfirmed, that there's going to be 1 minute of stoppage time at the end of the first half here in Northern Florida at Hodges Stadium in Jacksonville. Sadlier getting on his horse and trying to find Rose. He stumbles while trying to collect the ball, and Barnes continues to stab at it. The ball was in play, and eventually it will be a throw in for Pittsburgh. I think Rob Vincent's game day outfit is going to elevate further and further he gets away from his playing career. It looks like he's ready to suit up and go give about 20 minutes.
Hasn't changed much since the wardrobe that was presented back in November against Tulsa last season. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
To be fair, he was an interim head coach. He didn't have time to garner a wardrobe. Yeah.
Humid. You don't normally get that kind of luxury in Pittsburgh.
No, you don't.
This weekend, though, I already looked at the forecast. Solid 85-degree humidity.
Wow.
Percentage, I should say. 91+ degrees.
Prayers up for Mike Watts trying to deal with that heat.
We brought in a window AC unit.
They'll break out anything.
That's right.
My goodness. Probably the last action of the first half here at Hodges, and Danny Wilson with his palms up looking for an option. Finds one in Sadlier. And that'll do it for the first half. And at the moment, Pittsburgh in control thanks to that man's second goal of the season in league play. Trevor Ammon strikes in the 29th minute thanks to a beautiful feed from Elliot Gordthorpe. And Devin Kerr, your thoughts on the first half?
Pittsburgh's going to be happy with the fact that they got their goal. Certainly the creativity rose as the half went on. I think the half, though, is going to be about Liam Fox and their inability to really create anything at all. They lacked ideas. They really lacked ambition. Sat back. Pittsburgh controlled much of the match, and Liam Fox is going to walk into the dressing room and say, I need more ideas and more energy coming into the second half.
Well, stick around for halftime, because not only are we going to take a deeper look at what we saw in the first 45 minutes, but we also are going to preview the big ticket item this weekend on Big CBS, a matchup between Louisville and Pittsburgh. The Hounds currently with a 1-0 lead at the half over Sporting JAX.
Talking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Two.
Tonight walks away with a Sporting JAX surprise gift bag. Let's see who has the golden boot. Kicker.
So for the interview, we'd have to switch. Yeah, so for the interview.
Go ahead, kicker number 3.
Welcome back to Northern Florida. We're in Jacksonville, the home side, trailing Pittsburgh, where they have not lost yet this season when they're leading at the half, and they have that lead at the half thanks to Trevor Ammon's second goal of this season. Who needs Albert Dico when you've got Trevor Ammon? Tyler Terrence along with the incomparable Devin Kerr. And obviously right now Pittsburgh engaged in a midweek game. A lot of people thought it might be a trap game, but so far so good. But this weekend, Devin, and they're not looking past this game, and Rob Vincent said as much. It's a huge ticket item against Louisville on big CBS and a national spotlight.
It's big within the Eastern Conference. Certainly is going to affect what will be long-term the Players' Shield race. Look, think about the longevity of these teams' successes. You've got the last 3 Players' Shield winners from 23 to 25. Pittsburgh won the title last year. Every individual award encompassed by both organizations. And yet it feels like right now both teams are missing something. They've never missed anything when they've met each other, but it has been all Louisville. The interesting point to me is that both of these teams, they're better on the road. So much so that the Hounds have never won a game at home against Louisville. That is the craziest stat that I have come across in a long time. Reminder, they will be hosting Lou City on the weekend. So that belief, that confidence that Rob Vincent is talking about better come quickly. And it better come fast on the attacking side of the ball, because Louisville City does it with a vengeance, and they have been much better. They hit that midseason slump, just 1 win in 7. 4 straight losses in league play. All of a sudden, 6 games unbeaten in all competitions, thriving on every area of the field.
Well, both of these teams are perennial powerhouses in the Eastern Conference, and to count them out would just simply be foolish. But right now, the only count we got is Pittsburgh 1, Sporting JAX 0 at the half. Well, they're off to the races at halftime, but we've pumped the brakes on the game thus far. I had the orange dinosaur heading into this, but obviously it's just for kicks, and maybe Devin will be responsible for bringing dinner next time that we're calling a game together. But nevertheless, let's take a look at the first 45 minutes here from Hodges Stadium, and then we get to the 29th minute where Pittsburgh opened up the scoring.
Love the movement. You know, the idea that when you start to create combination play and it doesn't go your way, how do you adapt? And it's not about adapting, it's about evolving. And what that means is you have to have better ideas. You have to be more clear-cut in nature coming up high. They play up over the top. The back and forth between Trevor Ammon and Elliot Goldthorpe is spectacular. Ammon is unselfish. Goldthorpe repays the favor. You set the striker up. Perfect recipe for success. You'd get a response from Sporting Jacksonville just a few minutes later. The problem is it's from afar. This was their issue in the first half. There were no connection points from the back line to the midfield to the front line. Anytime they did get clear and created separation, there were massive gaps that they had to traverse in order to create quality. That never took shape in the first half. The total combined XG in the first half was 0.39 between both teams.
So what you're saying is that there's going to be a lot more opportunities created in the second half, Mr. Kerr, right?
It was predictable from both of the groups. It was too slow overall. Certainly the Pittsburgh Riverhounds were the better team, but Rob Vincent will say, the final 10 minutes, I need more of that. Defensively, Liam Fox will echo those sentiments, but he needs imagination. He needs the willingness to be brave and go and attack teams. They didn't do that at all. It was very linear in nature and very easy to understand defensively, if you're a Hounds player, where those threats were coming from.
Well, especially considering the fact that Sporting JAX had over a week to prepare for this game and certainly had the fresh legs. It doesn't look like that at the moment. Second half kickoff right around the corner. Don't go anywhere. Travel Map is brought to you by Best Western. Devin Kerr, what are we looking at here?
It's Elliot Goldthorpe and his performance in the first half. The freedom to run down underneath Trevor Ammon, to manipulate the overall shape of Sporting Jacksonville. 12 of his 19 successful passes were in the final third, and they were forward-facing in nature. That's a big number for me that you want to hone in on, but it can't just be Elliot Goldthorpe. The good news is you got a progression out of one of your pieces if you're head coach Rob Vincent. What he's going to now ask is that to be replicated by multiple players on the front line for Pittsburgh.
Speaking of things being replicated by multiple players, Rob Vincent last year, Devin Kerr, became the second ever coach to win a title with the team that he had once played for in the USL Championship. There he is. He looks the same. He looks fit. He looks ready to go.
It does look the same. Skin tone's changed a little bit. He's acquired that nice Pittsburgh hueish tan. Obviously, everybody does over time.
Yes.
Do you know the other coach that also played for a team and then won it as a head coach?
I believe it was a ball gentleman from Orange County.
Richard Chaplow.
But I'll tell you what, it wasn't too long ago that he was crunching Didier Drogba in a Western Conference Championship.
Oh yeah, loved watching him. Midfield, became a makeshift center back over time, and certainly the magical run that was in 2021.
And so now we turn our attention to the second half here between the Hounds and Sporting JAX. Let's start with the visitors, Devin, because this is obviously a huge game for them heading into what is going to be a massive fixture against the Louisville City side that they've historically struggled with over the weekend. How do you close this one out?
What do you want to be in the second half? Simple. Do you want to take the game over and run away from your opponent if you're the Pittsburgh Riverhounds? Because they're going to need to establish that confidence within the group, especially when they take on teams like the Tampa Bay Rowdies and Louisville City. 1-0 fixtures are difficult to come by. You need to be better going forward and create more separation. That's a very similar conversation for head coach Liam Fox from Sporting Jacksonville. You could be attack-minded, you could be defensive. They got caught between both thoughts in the first half. You need to really project within the group what your identity is going to be in the second half.
And the second half officially underway from Hodges Stadium at the University of Northern Florida. Tyler Terrence along with the incomparable Devin Kerr. Glad to have you with us here on CBS Sports as we are officially halfway through the USL season, at least for some of the teams. Pittsburgh playing in their 14th game. For Jacksonville, this is their 16th, and it is going to be a handball, and it's going to be a yellow card as well for Tyshawn Rose. So it's our first booking of the night, and it comes about 30 seconds into the second half.
In real time, it felt like he reached out to actually try and grab the ball. We're privy to a replay just a half second before, and that's not the case. It's his body turning, actually trying to prohibit Perrin Barnes from getting around him down into the channel.
He would have gotten a yellow card either way if he had actually gotten
100%.
Barnes and he got in the way.
The referee has shown a yellow card, which has been issued to Sporting JAX number 3.
So Rose, the East Hartford, Connecticut native, come over from Huntsville City in MLS Next Pro, picks up the card. And we'll see if that affects how he's going to head into future challenges. Meanwhile, Elliot Goldthorpe coming off of his first assist of the season to go along with just one goal. And he's somebody that Rob Vincent had mentioned in terms of guys that they expected to have a little bit more output at this point in the season in terms of goal contributions. Young man at one point in time was coming up through the ranks of the Manchester United Academy. On top of this set piece, it's a dangerous looking ball towards the back stick, and tell you what, that was a mighty fine opportunity to score their second for Pittsburgh, and the header goes glaring wide.
Let's stay on the distribution because you mentioned the Man United background for Elliot Goldthorpe. This is also a young man that led the NCAA goals and points just 2.5 years ago coming out of Hofstra. You know, we talk about the idea of what the Hounds could be. You take a player like Elliot Goldthorpe and his pedigree. You add Sam Bassett, who in his incredible season in 2024 with the Denver Pioneers was just one of 4 players in the country that had at least 8 goals and also double-digit in assists. Then you add Albert Decoy. You've got Trevor Ammon. There are plenty of options up high for the Hounds. It's just making sure that you're getting them all headed in the same direction and then being efficient in the process.
Kelp stayed home. He thought he might be able to make a play on it. Now it's into Jaskalainen, who is almost non-existent. I'm pretty sure we called his name maybe a total of about 3 times in the first 45 minutes. Gets an early touch, and Raheem Summersall, who registered the only shot on target for Sporting JAX in the first half. Danny Wilson. Sadlier.
The idea of Kieran Sadlier and Juan Kuzain have to immediately make an impact within this match, drop a little bit deeper, give them pivot points to work off of. Also, as you start to play through those 10s down underneath Emil Jääskeläinen, you can draw that back line in from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, allow guys like Rito and Rose to get down into the corners.
Pittsburgh are stretched at the moment. Now Rose in for Jääskeläinen, stabbed away by Owen McCoy. Mertz is up for it. Hammond proving to be a handful, but Akwe will see it out of play, and Pittsburgh's claiming last touch came off of Akwe. Now the ball travels out of play from the throw-in, and the referee has a couple of things to sort out here. And he's saying he'll be able to retake the throw, and he just has to do it from a few steps from where he had originally taken it. Danny Griffin's header, finding Goldthorpe. Mertz, Ammon. Trevor Ammon pulls it just off of the post.
How clean's the header? I mean, beautiful. 2v1 out of the midfield. Danny Griffin just releases this. Fortunate on the bounce, but once again, credit to Elliot Goldthorpe. Good vision. Combination play with Robbie Mertz. For Trevor Ammon, you know, the first touch, he hesitated just before this, and within that, the ball starts to move away from him. You're trying to create a clean contact point in it. You have to reach, cut back across. Always going to pull the momentum. How is that not a foul?
Well, the referee says we'll play on. Here's Rito after the advantage. Cuts it back. It's a beautiful layoff and a block in front and an own goal. And Sporting JAX are back into it. It's a lightning quick counterattack.
The idea that you could be confrontational off of Emil Jääskeläinen up top. One of the main assets coming into the game for head coach Liam Fox. No foul called, a bit surprising, but as the play continues forth, we talked about the presence or lack thereof from both Rito and Rose. Well done. Get Rito down into the channel. Good vision on the cutback across. Not the clearest of contact, but even off the deflection, catches the upper shoulder area, and Sadlier just continues to add to his goal total. Back to front for JAX and back to square one.
So the last touch does in fact come off of Sadlier. You see referencing right there that it came off of his shoulder. It had looked like it had pinballed off of one of the Pittsburgh defenders who was scrambling to get back into position, but instead it's Sadlier's 8th goal of the season. Not exactly a marketing campaign for the beautiful game, but Kieran Sadlier gets the goal, and Sporting JAX right back into the game.
And here comes the relevance once again. There's the Loudoun game, the Brooklyn game, the San Antonio game. The list goes on and on and on. Quality of competition paired with results within the match. Albeit not a full 90 minutes for Sporting Jacksonville, right back in it against a Hounds team that has held the majority of control within this game. Intensity, emotion, use that to your advantage now if you're Sporting Jacksonville.
Rito took a little bit of a shot there, and Charles All was trying to perhaps play quickly and catch Sporting JAX out of balance for a moment. Griffin, Goldthorpe. And now Charles All 1v1. What can he conjure up? Not his best delivery, but somebody should have given Tyshawn Rose a shout, and he's saying he couldn't hear it. His teammates are saying they did say something, but instead it's going to be a needless corner for Pittsburgh.
You might not be able to hear it, but just scan your surroundings. There's plenty of time as this ball's floated in. You could peek over the shoulder and understand that you need to just let it go. Drop over the end line and regain composure.
How about that stat coming off the scorebook in the top left side of your screen? 7 goals conceded this year in the first 10 minutes after scoring. Delivery from Goldthorpe again. Goalkeeper stays home all the way towards the back stick, and Somersault almost put that into his own net.
It's a beautiful strike. I mean, he just insteps right through it here. He's got pressure over the back shoulder, to be fair. Well done by Victor Souza just to get that arm up underneath Somersault to make him feel uncomfortable. And better safe than sorry for the midfielder from Jacksonville.
And the substitutes for Pittsburgh starting to go through their paces to potentially try to make an impact in later stages of the second half. An in-swinger takes a couple different deflections. Souza up for it, and Sporting JAX will clear it. And for Pittsburgh, it seems to be the same old story of struggling with teams who are literally and metaphorically beneath them. Just 2 wins in, what was it, there's 7 or 8 games so far this year against non-playoff teams, as Ammon over the top brings it down beautifully, and it needed to be poked away just at the last moment by Edwards, but Trevor Ammon just picked that out of the sky.
When they've been direct, very honest with themselves of the space that's available, Pittsburgh's been excellent. Wanted Trevor Ammon to just poke this immediately. Touch, hit it. Oh, man, it's a tough move, to be fair. But he did so well with the first one. Just a quick little follow through, catch the goalkeeper off guard. It's this weird conundrum that I have for the Hounds when they start to move forward. And the reason I say that is, as we've seen in this match, you would agree, those 30, 40-yard balls up over the top that have tested Jacksonville in transition is when they've been at their best. The problem is as you alluded to, the quote-unquote better competition. They struggle to break those teams down because those teams concede the space to to Pittsburgh, excuse me. And so now you're trying to break down mid to low block. You have less space to work through. And that's where those percentage points on the quality opportunity, they don't favor Pittsburgh. You're settling for chances from 20, 25 yards out. That's where you got to push the tempo even further. The idea of creativity against a lesser opponent, all due respect to Jacksonville, has to become more frequent. That's where the confidence starts to come in layers, and then it spills over into the bigger fixtures.
And to that point, Rob Vincent even told us that he doesn't have a lot of guys who pick their head up and play into space, and one of the only guys on his team who does do that is Sam Bassett, who's available off the bench tonight, but has been injured over the past several weeks.
I found that so interesting, too, because Robbie Mertz, from college into his early years as a pro, was a very attack-minded player. The difference is the identity that was firmly established by former head coach Bob Lilly within this group was these tight-knit lines that have always been a Bob Lilly coach team, where the midfielders a little bit more restricted. It didn't allow you to, we'll say, be as aggressive when you started to go forward.
Somersault saw the run on the right wing. Rito brings it down. Flag stays down, and the cross takes a deflection into the hands of Campuzano.
Working those traits out of players that it's really been a part of their DNA for half of their career. That's a difficult thing to do. It's not going to take 6 months. Sometimes it's not even going to take a year. It could be longer than that. You're changing your body positioning, the mental fortitude at times of how tough you need to be when maybe, hey, you know, I don't have to be the guy that just stands on the ball and we regain our composure. I can be aggressive, be creative, make mistakes, and not necessarily get myself into trouble.
And Kelp will calmly head it back for Campuzano. Mertz almost gave it away. Sadly and company providing the pressure. By the way, elsewhere in the USL Championship at the moment, Miami FC with a 2-0 lead over Indy 11. New Mexico United putting a hurting on Sporting Lexington at the moment. It's 4-1 in favor of New Mexico.
And Miami FC's form just continues on. They bagged 5 on the weekend in their final game of group play in Brinks Tires USL Cup. Grabbed the only wild card spot. Got them into the quarterfinals. Most goals on the season, kept a clean sheet. Better be careful. Might have back-to-back wins.
Referee says play on. Rito, another pull back and another first-time effort. That's on the wrong side of the post, but Eduardo Rito is really starting to enjoy himself down the right flank.
This is an unreal ball played into Emil Jaskalainen. Rito drawing in the pressure, quickly recognizing how much space he's got available to work with. That is a foul on Kuzain, but smart. Rito doesn't sit and watch. Instead, follows his pass. That's an old school mentality. Easy to just continue that run coming forth. Love the run by Jaskalainen. Tough on the angle, power through it. Just a little bit off on the final mark.
He had 7 goals and 18 appearances for St. Louis City 2 and MLS Next Pro last year. Also spent some time with the likes of FC Motown and Texas United in League Two. But this is his first taste of the USL Championship. His father, by the way, was a legendary Premier League goalkeeper, making over 500 appearances for the Bolton Wanderers back in the day. So football very much a part of his family. And Emil Jaskalainen, still just 25 years of age, originally from Bolton. He was born there.
He's a joke of a player at the collegiate level. Scored 66 goals, including 23 in his 2024 season with Akron. We talked about it in the first half. For my money, best player in the country. The physical profile that he carries at 6'3". He's got speed to burn. I love his timing on runs. Oddly enough, what we just saw just, again, couldn't find the right pace to create the go-ahead goal.
Charles All was trying to go through the legs of Jordan Rossiter there. Instead, Sporting JAX takes over, and that goal from Sadler, despite the fact that he didn't know much about it, has drastically changed the momentum in this game.
A lot more movement in the midfield for Sporting Jacksonville. They've released Reem Somersault, Hinkazane operating more freely, really pulling Mertz and Tanny Griffin apart from each other. It's giving more space to Rossiter, and more importantly, it's making the 2 strikers work more. Just quick decision making by the back line, opening up the game for Jacksonville.
Pittsburgh showing their teeth a bit. Thumped away by Danny Wilson and the Sporting JAX back line. A little less than a half an hour remaining here at the University of North Florida at Hodges Stadium. Tyler Terrence along with the incomparable and ex-German pro Devin Kerr. Glad to have you with us here on CBS Sports. Pittsburgh looking to make up some ground towards the top of the Eastern Conference table, and Sporting JAX 1 goal away from potentially securing their first win in USL Championship play in club history. And Jake McGuire rising above the pack to be able to prevent any chaos on the long throw-in. And while this is the current home of Sporting JAX in their inaugural season, they just announced this week that they had partnered with development firm in the hopes for a multi-purpose facility and 150-acre complex that will have a soccer-specific stadium, as well as a ton of other options around that complex, and hoping to potentially even join USL Premier when it's supposedly supposed to come into fruition in 2028. But big aspirations for this club, and while on the field it hasn't necessarily been the start that they had hoped for the club, they have certainly proven that they are more than invested not only in this team but in the community as well. Danny Griffin using that long diagonal ball to pick out Perrin Barnes. Tyshawn Rose wanted an offside flag, instead taken away. Sadlier off to the races. Jääskeläinen running with him. He's asking for it. It's a 2v4 at the moment, morphing into a 2v6 as Sadlier with a little stutter step, cuts it back, got the nutmeg away, but Souza seals him off, and Pittsburgh will reclaim possession.
Danny Wilson quickly recognizing that his team's shape had broken down and there was way too much space for the Hounds to play into. Confrontation has earned himself a yellow card in the 65th minute. I do like Robbie Mertz. Notice over the last 5 minutes, coming a little bit deeper with that advanced role that the midfield has created for Sporting JAX. It has created space in the build-up for Mertz and Danny Griffin. That quick release continues to be effective for the Hounds.
And we are going to have our first substitution of the evening, as it's going to be Ahmad Alcock, 24-year-old originally from Hackensack, New Jersey. And he'll replace Kieran Sadlier, who has the only goal on the night for Sporting JAX, Devin.
Certainly struggled for chances over the course of the evening, Sporting Jacksonville. But for Sadlier, he has been the most consistent on the front line, at least in terms of hitting the back of the net. Always finds himself in that advanced role. Seems to have really good timing on some of those box entries, even with Lady Luck working off his shoulder.
So Sadlier bags his 8th of the season, but his night will come to a conclusion in the 66th minute. And on comes the former North Carolina FC man who spent 4 years at UNC Chapel Hill. Wound up with a degree in neuroscience in 3 years, graduated early, and then had a post-grad MS degree in 2025. He's also got 5 caps with the Palestinian national team. And Devin, some big news coming out of the league this week as OKC United officially announced going to be joining the USL Championship in 2028. Maps for a multi-purpose stadium. Their crest, which was released representing the 39 tribes in Oklahoma. And how about Russell Westbrook and Josie Altidore, U.S. men's national team legend, amongst the ownership group that is going to be bringing professional soccer back to Oklahoma City.
Would include Baker Mayfield and Jalen Williams amongst that Echo Investment Capital group that has really changed the idea of what football is going to be. Former OKC Energy Group now has a new brand, new colors. They'll have a new stadium as well, that Maps 4 multi-purpose stadium downtown. You know, gone are the days where, hey, we need a soccer-specific stadium. Instead, it's become much more inclusive in nature, and it needs to be, where the property is going to thrive within the community. And they'll build themselves around it. We've seen it in Louisville City. The Hounds already have theirs. They're going to expand. San Antonio have something similar. It was due for OKC. They've been on hiatus too long. The interest, they've become an afterthought now. They will re-enter championship play. Current plan for Target is 2028. I like the new brand. Wish they would have kept the name.
Will we get a white Puma sighting? Oh, their opening game in 2028 potentially is. Campuzano stays home, and the header just over the crossbar. Sporting JAX asking some questions, and with his almost first touch of the night, Alcock almost puts it into the back of the net.
Pretty sure Jimmy Nielsen would question the positioning of goalkeeper Nico Campuzano here. Hesitation coming off his line, and then doesn't create confrontation with the attacker just atop the 6-yard box. 5'10", Juan Kuzain nearly created the go-ahead. You got to be tighter there if you're McCoy.
Meanwhile, Sam Bassett returns to the field for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds after missing several games. 23-year-old originally from Wheat Ridge, Colorado. He's got 3 goals and 10 appearances, and he has been integral to what Pittsburgh are trying to do in the attacking third. Not that they're placing too much emphasis on the amount of touches that Sam Bassett gets, but Rob Vincent did let us know that his team, when they're taking a look at touches for respective players over the course of 90 minutes, whenever Sam Bassett is ticking more towards 30 or 40 touches in a game, good things usually seem to happen for the Hounds.
And touches are one thing, but the appropriate space is something they also struggled with. You and I dissected that a little bit in the first half. Too deep lying in nature to start the season. Now, just off the referee's view, number 19 there, left side of your screen, finding these half spaces in the left channel is where he thrives. It's where he was so dominant at the collegiate level under Jamie Franks in Denver. Really good at these long diagonal balls to open up space down in the corners. I still think it's his willingness to run at people. You'll always find him on the half turn. His first touch positive, always in front, dragging space and players with him. Makes it easier on the teammates around him.
Fortuitous bounce for Charles All, and he gets taken down right outside of the penalty area. And this is some prime real estate in Jacksonville. Have an issue right now because Pittsburgh will have a good look from about 21 yards out or so.
A nice balance work rate off of each other, starting on the right side from the midfield. Charles All recognizing that as Sam Bassett comes out of the pocket, he has the chance to step into it. Right on cue, Bassett pulls to the near channel. Charles All starts to pivot right through and grabs a set piece out of it. Keep an eye. Before they had that near header on the far post run about 10 minutes ago, this is an area where the Riverhounds have become more efficient as the season has gone on. Trickery from dead ball situations. Haven't been great directly targeting the opposition's goalkeeper, but I have been impressed with their willingness to try different things and certainly go vertical, use those big bodies to their advantage.
It's Goldthorpe standing over it, already with an assist tonight. And if you're Jake McGuire, you got to get the wall just right in terms of positioning, but he is giving up a lot of the right-hand side of his goal. It is Goldthorpe. It's a decent-looking effort, and McGuire was interested in then some. It does end up going just over the crossbar, but not a bad effort.
I'm glad you targeted it. I saw it. It was an acreage of space over this right shoulder for Jake McGuire. Gambling, but also doing it because of what I just referenced. You bring Lasakelp up, McCoy, Sosa, just so impactful. Those trees working off the back line and being able to stick that ball up, let them redirect and have players run through.
So Harvey Neville, the son of Phil, is going to come on, and he'll replace Summersall. Meanwhile, Rafferty Petter comes on and replaces Juan Kuzain in the 72nd minute. So that's now 3 substitutions used by Liam Fox. Change anything tactically for Sporting JAX, Steve?
Not much. They've utilized Harvey Neville in such a wide variety of positions this year. He's very flexible in nature. Center back spot, certainly known for his marking back positions normally. Good touch.
Forward again. It's Petter on the first time after he had brought it down and cleared away before it could probably reach the back of the net of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds.
What you will get is a higher engine and work rate out of Rafferty Petter. Juan Kuzain, more of a tactician, ball at his feet. You're looking for combination play. Petter can open the game up and play this game more vertical. Certainly he's going to help provide support for Jääskeläinen. Struggled with that over the course of the night, the home team has.
And that ball looked like it was going to stay in play for a moment. Eventually trickles out. And it's anybody's guess as to who's going to potentially take all 3 points here at Hodges Stadium.
Just trying to figure out what the result was on the training ground opposite our booth.
Looks like crossbar challenge is taken over. And most of the folks have gone home. Only the sickos and the diehards are on the field now.
Load management.
Trevor Ammon from distance. Barnes will settle it down. Now Robbie Mertz. Griffin. Little how do you do from Tyshawn Rose on the backside of Perrin Barnes. A little more than 15 minutes remaining. Sporting JAX still in search of their first USL Championship win in club history amidst their inaugural season. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh Riverhounds continuously struggling with teams that are below the playoff line at the moment. Sporting Jacksonville is that and then some. They are dead last in the overall table in the USL Championship, just with 4 points to their name through their first 15 games. But right now, they're going toe-to-toe with the defending champs. And again, it was a tight game when these two sides met for the first time back in March. But that one was way more of a shootout and an open field to it. Pittsburgh jumped out to a 3-0 lead, and Sporting JAX made it a game by scoring 2 goals.
A really impressive movement through the midfield, though. Just keep an eye if you don't tighten up the spaces centrally here. If you're Sporting Jacksonville, that's got to come from Sadley and Petter. You're going to get yourself in trouble. Sam Bassett is all over the pitch right now. His level of activity causing all sorts of problems. Nice depth. Ian Goldthorpe, good communication. Charles all coming to the mix. It's multi-dimensional as opposed to that A to B to C nature we saw really for the first hour of this game.
You give the advantage to Sporting JAX heading down the stretch, just given the fact they're a little bit fresher with Pittsburgh having played over the weekend?
I would actually say the advantage is to Pittsburgh right now, and here's why. The tight-knit nature of the game creates fear for a group that have yet to win on the season. Glad that they got their equalizer. That's going to give them confidence, but we're not seeing as much creativity nor effectivity in the final third as we saw minute 55 to 65. A lot of that is because of the changes. And I just see more control overall within the game right now for Pittsburgh. It's not an overwhelming statement,
yeah,
but enough that the percentage points are leaning towards the visitors.
Well, whatever joy that Sporting JAX has experienced tonight, it has come down the right flank, and it has come almost specifically and exclusively through Eduardo Rito. Their goal came through him, and a peel back that eventually deflected off of Kieran Sadlier's shoulder and went into the back of the net. And then Jääskeläinen had his best opportunity of the night thanks to another cutback from Eduardo Rito.
The bigger issue coming off of that tactically is the work rate you need with Rafferty Petter just underneath Jääskeläinen. It's just going to put even more pressure on Rossiter and Neville as the game opens up because of the movement by all the midfielders from Pittsburgh. So you either tighten it down, lock your spaces more efficiently, or if you're willing to chase the game, you got to work harder. Because right now you're just conceding too much space. It's easy for Pittsburgh to slide through.
Mertz, Goldthorpe. He's probably been the best player on the field tonight. Now Perrin Barnes. The delivery was a poor one from Lasse Kelp. And it looks like Rob Vincent is getting set to make 2 more substitutions. This is a good defensive spell from Sporting JAX as Pittsburgh are poking and prodding, but Sporting JAX not allowing any sort of space to be able to break a line. And now they turn it over. Rito just driving straight at the Pittsburgh defense. Threads it through. It's a beautiful ball. Elcock trying to square it across, and it deflects in. Elcock ended up creating it in the end. It is an own goal that was meant to go across the face of goal. And while it might be an accident, it might be the happiest accident to date for Sporting JAX. They might be on their way to their first ever win in league play.
The irony in how this plays out, that ball should be played there to begin with. Just a ridiculous amount of real estate open for Sporting JAX on that far left flank. Slow to find that reaction though. Rito hasn't had that issue all game long. He's trying to get clever, play his team down into the channel. But even though he can't find 5-hole, it bounces right back in front of him. And then on a platter, just clean right through the Pittsburgh back line. Easy for Alcock to try and slide it back across. Deflection, yes, but similar conversation in the first half. Better looking than good, and confidence restored.
So as it stands, Sporting JAX on their way to their first win in club history in USL Championship League play, and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds have some work to do and then some before they return home to the South Shore at F&B Stadium to take on Louisville City. And by the way, we did have a couple of substitutions after the goal. Jorge Garcia coming in, replacing Charles All. Jackson Walty also coming onto the scene. Barnes with a cushion header.
And for clarity, those were pre-planned subs prior to the goal. Those guys were coming off no matter what, so it's not a tactical adjustment. Friendly reminder that they're planning, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, to make sure they have enough personnel available on the weekend for selection against Louisville City. In that chat with head coach Liam Fox from Sporting Jacksonville, you talk about the tactical matchup against Pittsburgh, and he meandered through a lot of different talking points for the group overall, but at the end he was very clear. For us tonight, we have to make sure we match the combative side of the game. Wouldn't say that they've won that argument, but it's taken a step up over the last 10 minutes. Got to turn them over. Haven't done that. Keep the ball for long periods. Haven't done that. But his last point, use the full width of the field. And if they've done anything better as the game has gone on, Rito's been constant on the right flank, and then finally finding balance on the far side of the field, where the go-ahead goal comes from.
Let's keep in mind that this is a Sporting JAX team that at some point or another in these types of moments, and we'll hold that thought for a moment as Tyshawn Rose is in, a heavy touch into the area, and the deflection coming in from the Pittsburgh back line. It will be a corner for Sporting JAX. Tyshawn Rose proving to be a handful over on that left wing.
Well, it's these little growing moments within a game where, okay, you're playing high right and you're finding success through Rito. The reason they haven't been able to then complement it on the far side through that man right there, Tyshawn Rose, is because of how high and busy Elliot Goldthorpe and Perrin Barnes have been. So it's pinned him back. Well, all of a sudden, when you adjust the game and start to over pivot on your right flank, Pittsburgh has to adjust. It frees up more space. Simple understanding that just comes through communication.
Campuzano with a strong fist away. Rito will circle back around. Tyshawn Rose circling back around. Aquay. Now Cock let it bounce. Barnes got a touch to it. And it goes back to Pittsburgh. And the point that I was trying to make before that most recent opportunity, Dev, was that we have not seen that 10 to 15 minute spell from Sporting Jacksonville tonight where they just completely fall apart at the seams. And that's something that has been their calling card, unfortunately, the entirety of the season. And you just wonder that if it is going to come tonight, then it might be coming in the last 10 minutes or so. But obviously, if they can avoid that, then they might just be on their way to their first ever win.
The opposite side is, if I'm on the sideline right now, dig in, right? This is it. You got to create belief right now and make sure that inside 10 minutes, this is your game to win. Don't let those negative thoughts creep in about what once was, and instead think about what could be, because they have been very good as the game has gone on. Good enough to certainly have the lead.
Just out of the reach of Garcia.
Pittsburgh 3-5. Pittsburgh 3-5.
So it's going to be Guillaume Vactor and Mitchell Butler coming on. Or pardon me, Lala Sumanu. And one last roll of the dice from Rob Vincent to try to get a little bit more of an attacking flavor on the field for the final 5 or 6 minutes or so.
It's also a continuation of squad rotation. If he brings Mitch Butler on here, we're going to have a real conversation of the backup goalkeeper spot. It should accompany a slight tactical judgment on the back line. Factor will drop in Osumanu more on that right-hand side.
So Sporting JAX are going to do this. They're going to have to do something they have not done this season. That is protect the lead and stay as sharp as possible until the full-time whistle blows. And Liam Fox is up and pacing in his technical area right now. And also keep in mind, coming into tonight, this is a Sporting JAX side. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves right now, but 14 points off of the 8th place spot, Miami FC, coming into tonight. Now, granted, Miami was winning earlier tonight, and there's a lot of things that would need to happen, and they're just looking for their first win. But crazier things have happened in the final 15 games of this season than making up that big of a difference.
The schedule would align for them, assuming they get a result tonight. They play Brooklyn, Birmingham, and Brooklyn again. In 3 of their next 6 matches, teams that are struggling over the course of the year and out of form overall. If you're Birmingham Legion recently.
Garcia trying to thread it through. O'Cock running out of real estate. Now Robbie Mertz. Garcia. Goldthorpe.
Nice.
Delicious delivery. And a thumping header from Ryan Edwards.
Just notice how crisp it is. Just clean coming off the ball for Elliot Goldthorpe. This first touch back across the body. He had already looked up to survey what was in front of him. That allows him to just be so clinical in nature. I mean, wash, rinse, repeat on that ball and that release into the 18.
They fake the long throw in. They go short. Walty back for Goldthorpe. Now this time with his left foot with another good-looking delivery taken on the first time. And it was hasty, probably a time for a touch. Jorge Garcia. And let's take a look at the Best Western upcoming schedules. We were just talking about what was coming up this weekend, but before we get to that big billing offer between Pittsburgh and Louisville, we've got AC Boise and Portland Hearts of Pine, which is going to be a really fun game in the Treasure Valley. That's at 9:30 Eastern. I'll have that game with Ricky Lopez-Espin, and then you'll have Mike Watts and Devin Kerr for Pittsburgh against Louisville on Big CBS. Noon Eastern is that kickoff, so if you're looking for a little bit of a football fix before the World Cup final on Sunday. That's where you're going to find it. And then July 22nd, Lexington against Ryan Martin and Oakland Roots. Oakland have been struggling over the past few games or so, but they're doing some good work towards the top of the Western Conference, and Lexington trying to find their way into the playoff picture.
I'd urge you to tune into that League One match this Friday. It's not hard to argue that two of the best atmospheres in the entire USL One League certainly come from the Hearts of Pine and Boise. Nate Miller and Bobby Murphy and everybody in both of those front offices have done such an incredible job of establishing a real following early on.
And that will be such an interesting game because we're talking so much about the growth of the sport in this country when the World Cup is currently at our shores, going to conclude this Sunday. But those two markets in particular, I think, are shining examples of just how many markets there are and how many vibrant markets there are that are starving for a taste of not only professional sports, but soccer specifically. And they have captured their respective communities and then some.
Just a half second too slow right now for the Hounds. Could have been Walte, could have been Garcia, and instead, indecision. Once Jacksonville get a bit tighter and prohibit them from playing through.
Goldthorpe up for it, but that's easy pickings for Jake McGuire.
And the one thing that I've liked out of Elliot Goldthorpe as this game has gone on is his frustration has actually turned to better productivity. I mean, he's irritated right now that they're losing, and I respect the fact that even though they're down 2-1 and the game's not going that way, he seems more intrigued to go and attack as opposed to sit back and just take the lashing.
We're hearing right now unconfirmed 3 minutes of stoppage time at the minimum at the end of these 90 minutes. Garcia on the turn. And just a hopeful ball. He was caught in between minds of just trying to dink that over the top or trying to find Elliot Goldthorpe. And there it is, officially confirmed, 3 minutes of stoppage time. And now Pittsburgh are trying to squeeze Sporting JAX, who are currently about 109 yards away from home. And you could see Ryan Edwards trying to urge his team on to stay locked in, to stay focused, and to not once again squander a lead that prevents them from acquiring their first ever league win. Garcia on the turn. And it seems like for the moment, Sporting JAX have dug in and have found another gear defensively. Looked like there was a foul on Garcia. He's not going to get the call from the referee, John Motto. Bassett. Gets it back from McCoy. Walte. Sporting JAX once again deal with it. And they certainly have the height advantage at the moment. Now Alcock just trying to win something, and he is able to win a throw-in. And we talked about how this could be a trap game for Pittsburgh, a group that is coming off of a quick turnaround from this weekend in the USL Cup in their final Brinks Tires USL Cup match against Loudoun United. They did rotate heavily. They have another huge game over the weekend on Big CBS against Louisville City. But a team that has been struggling with teams that are beneath them in the table, and they are struggling and then some in Northern Florida. And now Alcock will just drag this to the corner flag, and Sporting JAX happy to milk the clock. Petter takes over, and he's just horse-collared down just outside the penalty area. And that is going to milk some precious clock right now for Pittsburgh, who are trying to get back into this game.
I'd imagine he'll take it right up to the final whistle. Kill things off for the home squad. Now you got to keep it. No reason to force the issue into the box, and instead just be smart. Hold serve down in the corner.
They'll go short, and they'll go right back to the corner. About 30 seconds remaining. And they can start to taste it now here at Hodges Stadium. It has been 15 long games in their inaugural season without a win, Sporting Jacksonville. Not completely out of the woods yet, and now they are. It's the first ever league win for Liam Fox and Sporting Jacksonville at long last. An accidental goal off the shoulder of Kieran Sadlier, an own goal from Victor Souza, a come-from-behind win at home and under the lights at Hodges. Sporting JAX can say that they are winners after 90 minutes in the USL Championship. The 16th time of asking, and a massive burden lifted off of their shoulders. On national TV against the reigning champs, no less. It wasn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but sometimes, and most times, winning in this league, it isn't pretty. And they have found that next level, Sporting JAX, where they have been able to see out a win and do it against a very, very good team. 2 unanswered goals in the second half, and what looked like another bleak night at home for Sporting JAX turns into a watershed moment. They win it by a score of 2-1 over the Riverhounds.
Can you? Yeah, I could hear you. I could hear you. Give you a what? What? Okay, 2 minutes for a player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yep, check,
14,
check. 1, 2, 3.
15,
Can you hear us?
16, 17, 18.
Check, check. Can
19.
you hear us down there, field level?
No.
No, you can't. Check, check, check. Can you hear us back in the studio? Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3.
Check,
Yeah,
check, check. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear us on the field?
Right.
Got it, buddy. Thank you.
Yep, I can hear you.
I can hear you, yeah. Yeah, good.
Kieran, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
Great. We'll be with you in just a sec, bud. We're coming back from break. Full time here at Hodges Stadium, and Sporting JAX for the first time in their history can celebrate a win at the USL Championship level, scenes that they have not experienced thus far. and on the 16th time of asking, they finally get it done, and they get it done against the reigning champions by a score of 2-1. And joining us now, pitch side, is Kieran Sadlier, who registered the equalizing goal. He didn't know much about it, but Kieran, how good did that feel to finally get that burden off your shoulders?
Yeah, no, obviously delighted with the win. It's a feeling that we haven't had yet in the league. I think that's just the main thing. Regardless of how the goals went in tonight, I think it's just so important that we won the game. And yeah, as you say, to get that burden off our back, it's, I'm sure when I go back in the change room, the boys will be delighted.
Kieran, watching the group and certainly having conversations with your head coach, Liam Fox, it's very clear that you guys have been able to maintain belief. I've been quite taken back at the character you've all displayed. And while maybe the wins haven't come, your relevance within matches has stayed there. What have the conversations been like in the dressing room through these troubled times to keep putting one foot in front of the other, because it felt like those results were within striking distance?
No, it's been a bit up and down. Like, we've obviously lost a few games, or we've drawn a few games in the last minute. And look, it's really easy to get down and get angry at each other and start kind of doing things like that. But we've all stuck together. We've got a really good group. We're all quite close as friends around the place. We all go out and do things away from football. So, like, I think it's really important when you are in those bad times. It's good to have a good, close-knit group. I think, look, that's what's got us through. There's been bad times. There's been games where we feel we played well, but then there's been games where we haven't been great at all, and we'll be the first to admit that. So tonight was just all about winning. We've had a little bit of a break, and we've come back. We've trained hard. We've trained well, and look, it's tough out there. It's hot. Everything doesn't go as you want it to go, but we went 1-0 down, obviously, and we've come back and we won the game 2-1. And look, that's the most important thing for us tonight.
Tyler, a second ago, acknowledged your equalizer. That's your 8th tally on the season. I just want to confirm that, in fact, when you do walk into the dressing room right now, you obviously meant to put the shoulder out. You're going to take full claim to that when you walk into the boys and say, yeah, that's definitely mine, right?
Yeah, it's just a little bit of shoulder work. Just, just make it a little bit more interesting. No, I'm joking. I've had the strike and the defender's put a good block in. It's come back and hit me on the shoulder and gone in, but I don't care how it goes in. It's another goal, and it's a goal towards a win. So I don't care how they go in as long as they do, and yeah, everyone's pleased.
All right, Kieran, thank you so much for the time. Go enjoy it tonight. You've earned it, and we'll talk to you down the line.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, there goes Kieran Sadlier, registering his 8th goal of the year. But let's wind it back to the 29th minute, Devin Kerr, when Pittsburgh got on the board through Trevor Ammon.
I give them credit because they got away from how they had gone about their business early on within this match. It was a lot of combination play, short passes. The most dangerous they were within this game was when they opened it up. Play direct up over the top, stretched the game, and then really good decision-making in the final third displayed by Elliot Goldthorpe and his connection with Trevor Ammon. The problem that they ran into was, as they started to open things up defensively, they became more exposed. And Jacksonville got smart. They were smart specifically on the width of the field. Brito, excellent all night long on the right-hand side. He was looking for a compliment to come on the left. We'll get there in the second. But most importantly, when he got down into the final third with about 20 minutes to go, he started to have support. Yeah, a little bit of luck from Sadlier, but more importantly, they get the equalizer. And this group has always stayed within touching distance of nearly every single game. Over the last 9, goals aplenty. So different ideas for sure, but the character that they can come back, they will find a way. Even if it is their first win, has always reigned supreme within this team. They find that balance on the left. They find that go-ahead goal. And for the first time this season, they have found 3 points.
Now 7 points on the season for Sporting JAX, and a long way to go until they can start to make a conversation for the playoffs happen, but they'll enjoy the win on the night. Make sure you tune in on Friday night, 9:30 Eastern, AC Boise and Portland Hearts of Pine. For Devin Kerr and our entire crew here at CBS Sports and the United Soccer League, Tyler Terrence saying so long for now. The final score, Sporting JAX 2, Pittsburgh 1. We'll talk to you soon.